Picture this. A cage. A packed arena in the heart of Louisiana. 12,000 people on their feet, and one man walking out to fight for the very last time in his life. This isn't just another night in the Octagon. This is the end of a story that started 14 years earlier, and nobody in that building knew exactly how it was going to finish. What you're about to hear is the tale of two warriors, one legendary rivalry, and a final chapter that turned into one of the wildest nights in fighting history. Let's go back to where it all began. February 2012. A young, skinny kid from Hawaii named Max Holloway steps into the Octagon for the very first time in the UFC. He's 19 years old, barely old enough to buy a lottery ticket, and he's been thrown in against a tough, experienced fighter named Dustin Poirier. Nobody expects much from the kid, and true to form, Poirier catches him in a submission and taps him out. Just another rookie learning a hard lesson, right? Except that rookie doesn't go away. He grows. He climbs. Over the next several years, Max Holloway turns into one of the most dangerous featherweights the sport has ever seen. He wins the world title. He defends it again and again. People start calling him blessed, because the way he fights looks almost effortless, like poetry thrown with fists. Meanwhile, Dustin Poirier is building his own legend one division up, at lightweight. He earns the nickname the Diamond, because no matter how many times life or an opponent tries to crack him, he comes back sharper than before. In 2019, these two men cross paths again. This time it's for an interim lightweight title, in a 5-round war that both men will remember forever. Poirier wins again. 2 fights, 2 losses for Holloway. It looks like the story between them is settled. Poirier owns this rivalry, but life has a strange sense of humor. Years pass. Both men go on to become 2 of the most respected fighters on the planet. Poirier fights for the undisputed title multiple times. He shares 2 unforgettable battles with Conor McGregor. He becomes the kind of fighter fans fall in love with, not because he's unbeatable, but because he never quits, never fakes it, never phones it in. Holloway, on the other hand, becomes must-watch television every time he fights. He takes on one of the greatest strikers in the sport's history and walks through fire to win the symbolic BMF title, a badge that says, in no uncertain terms, that he is one of the toughest human beings walking the earth. And then comes the announcement that stops the entire mixed martial arts world in its tracks. Dustin Poirier is retiring. After more than a decade of wars, comebacks, heartbreaks, and triumphs, the Diamond decides it's time to walk away. And for his final fight, the UFC does something poetic. They bring him home, to Louisiana, the place where he was born and raised, and they give him one more shot at revenge. One more chance to settle the score with Max Holloway. 2 wins to 1 in Poirier's favor. A trilogy fight, a goodbye, and a grudge match rolled into one unforgettable night. The date is July 19th. The location, the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. This isn't a neutral crowd. This is Poirier's backyard. Every single person in that arena is chanting his name before he even walks out. The air is thick with emotion, because everybody knows what this night means. It's not just a fight. It's a farewell. When the 2 men finally stand across from each other in the center of the cage, something remarkable happens. There's no trash talk, no bad blood on display. Just 2 proud fighters who have shared history, sharing one final nod of respect before doing what fighters do best. The bell rings, and Holloway comes out like a man on a mission. In the very first minute, he lets his hands fly with speed and precision, and he manages to put Poirier on the canvas. The hometown crowd gasps. This isn't the start anyone in Louisiana wanted to see. Holloway looks sharp, confident, and dangerous, moving like he did in some of his greatest career performances. He controls the pace, picks his shots, and makes it clear early that he didn't come to this fight just to be a stepping stone in Poirier's storybook ending. But then, in the second round, something shifts. Poirier starts finding his rhythm. He starts landing the kind of heavy, thudding shots that made him famous. The crowd, sensing the tide turning, gets louder and louder with every punch. And then it happens. Poirier stuns Holloway. The crowd erupts. Sensing the opening, Poirier shoots in and locks up his signature guillotine choke, the same weapon he's used to finish opponents throughout his entire career. For a moment, the entire arena holds its breath. Is this it? Is the fairy tale ending about to happen right here in the second round? Holloway's eyes tell the story of a man in real trouble. But somehow, someway, he survives. The horn sounds to end the round just in time, and Holloway lives to fight on. That single sequence could have broken most fighters. Instead, It seems to wake something up inside Max Holloway. He comes out for the third round with fire in his eyes. He goes back to what has always made him so special, that relentless volume, that never-ending pressure, and most of all, his brutal, calculated attack to the body. Punch after punch lands into Poirier's ribs and stomach, the kind of shots that don't knock a man out in the moment, but slowly drain the life out of his legs as the rounds go on. Holloway mixes in head strikes too, sharp combinations, a beautiful spinning kick that catches Poirier clean, keeping the crowd gasping every time he lets his hands go. Poirier isn't done though. This is a man who has clawed his way back from adversity his entire career, and he refuses to fade quietly. He keeps pushing forward, keeps looking for that one perfect punch that could end everything in an instant, the kind of finish that would send the New Orleans crowd into an explosion of pure joy. Every time he lands a heavy shot, the arena roars like the entire city is throwing that punch with him. As the fight rolls into the championship rounds, both men are running on fumes, but neither one backs down. Holloway continues working behind his jab and body shots, chipping away, staying just elusive enough to avoid the kind of home run punch that Poirier is known for. Poirier keeps stalking forward, still believing, still throwing everything he has left, because this is his last fight, and there is no tomorrow to save anything for. By the time the final horn sounds, the two men embrace in the center of the cage, drenched in sweat, completely spent, and full of mutual respect for what they had just given each other and the fans. The decision goes to the judges, and when the scores are read, it's Max Holloway who has his hand raised, winning a hard-fought unanimous decision, closing out the trilogy with one victory to balance the two defeats from years before. For a split second, the hometown crowd feels the sting of disappointment. Their hero didn't get the storybook win. But then something beautiful happens. Instead of celebrating wildly for himself, Holloway takes the microphone, and rather than talking about his own victory, he turns the spotlight entirely onto the man standing across from him. He speaks about respect, about history, about everything Poirier has meant to this sport. And then he steps back, letting Poirier have the moment that truly belongs to him. What follows is one of the most emotional scenes the sport has ever produced. Dustin Poirier stands in the center of the Octagon for the final time. The arena plays him out to the sound of Frank Sinatra's My Way, a tradition reserved for legends saying goodbye. Slowly, deliberately, he removes his gloves, the same gloves that carry him through more than a decade of incredible fights, historic wins, gut-wrenching losses, and unforgettable moments. Tears roll down his face as he takes it all in. He doesn't rush toward the exit. Instead, he walks the long way around, hugging cornermen, embracing fans who reach out over the barricade, soaking in every last second of a journey that began in a small cage years earlier and ended right here, in front of the people who raised him. In the end, this wasn't just a fight for a title or a spot in the rankings. It was the closing chapter of one of the most respected rivalries the sport has ever seen, between two men who pushed each other to become legends. Max Holloway walked away with the win and the trilogy, but Dustin Poirier walked away with something even bigger, the love and respect of an entire sport, and the kind of send-off that most fighters can only dream about. Sometimes the story isn't about who wins. Sometimes it's about how you finish. And on that unforgettable night in New Orleans, both men finished like true champions,